Today I have a story for you. Do you remember the timeline of life? There we saw the earth having problems and how something was created to help. A tiny little drop of jelly that eats, grows, and creates others like itself. From that cell was created a variety of creatures, sponges, trilobites, sea lilies, trees, and flowers. In this way, plants and animals appeared over the earth. And after living a long time in the water, they came out and spread all over the land. We also talked about the amphibians and how the voice of the frogs broke the silence, you remember? We saw the picture of the two big dinosaurs. There were also birds and mammals. At the very end of the timeline of life, we found a very special figure, and we talked about the human beings. They appeared after a long time when the earth was prepared to receive them, so they could find whatever they needed to live and survive. We also saw the black strip. There we talked about the elements, how they started to join together following their own laws. Also, we talked about how long it took for the earth to be cool enough to form a tiny crust. You remember? We don't know exactly when, in that long period of time when life started. We also saw at the end of the black strip a red strip representing the history of human beings. Later, I told you the story of the coming of human beings. We talked about why they were so special, because even the earth was prepared to receive them. Human beings needed to work in order to find their food and build their shelters. They found animals and plants to eat, things they could use to build their shelters. And also the air, the water, and the sun were there to allow the human beings to survive. Today, I have another timeline to show you. It is a timeline that talks about human beings, about men and women and children. It's about human beings like you and me. It's also about the time human beings have lived on earth. We don't know exactly what human beings were doing, but for sure they were satisfying their needs. We don't have any drawings here. It's just dark, the darkness. During this time, we can be sure that human beings were thinking and planning how to satisfy their needs. They needed food, they needed clothing, they needed shelter, transportation. They were using their minds. They made things for living, even if we don't know the way they lived their lives then. And time went on and on. And human beings continue to live, satisfying their needs. Look at all the time human beings were thinking how they could survive. And time went on. And human beings were still thinking and planning and trying to meet their needs. And time went on and on and on. Look something. Something is appearing here. It is a hand. It's a hand with a stone in it. This hand holding the stone represents the human work. The hand is an instrument that the human beings used as a tool. The stone is not just any stone. It is a stone prepared by the early human beings, maybe as an extension of their hands and also as a help to do their work. We don't know much about these early human beings because we don't have much evidence of the way they lived their lives. We only have evidence of the work of their hands. The archaeologists have found many stones like this. They have found baskets, pottery, and remains of campfires. But then we don't know the way they lived. And the time went on and on. Human beings continue to exist. Maybe planning what they were going to do the next day, or maybe thinking about the storm that took place that day before, or maybe thinking about how they could decorate their bodies to look better. And time went on and on. All we can do is think that these early human beings were satisfying their needs and using their hands for work. We don't have magazines or books or newspapers because they did not exist. So we don't know very much about the people living during this long period of time. But from the story of the coming of human beings, we know that they have special gifts. A mind to think, love to give, and hands to work. And they continue to live. And time went on and on. After a long time, human beings started to do something special. And then the time went on and on and on. They were thinking, using their minds, using their hands to work. And look at all the time that human beings have spent on earth satisfying their needs. But then we don't have any record of their activities because nothing was written down for us. We have stories that tell us the way they lived, but then we cannot know for sure. Time went on and on. And then as time went on and on, human beings started using their hands. What did they start using their hands for? They started using their hands for something very special. Look at this red strip. Human beings started using their hands for writing. And from that moment, we know for sure that they were doing something because they started writing down their thoughts and they recorded their daily activities. We have stories that now tell us the way they lived. Stories written by our ancestors to let us know the way they lived their lives. Before that, there were generations of human beings who lived and died. Look at. But we don't know anything about them because there was no writing. There was nothing like written language at that time. With the development of written language, as we see it here by this red strip, we started having what is called history. And all this time, all this whole length, before written language, we call prehistory. And this is my story for you today. Another day, I have another story for you about the time when written language existed.